I think that acceptance in front of life is probably the most important attitude that a human being could acquire. But unfortunately, although it sounds so clear, so simple, so easy, it is not easy at all to reach this inner state of mind, of acceptance and of, let's say, abandonment in front of life. It is probably, on the contrary, one of the hardest things to reach as a goal in one's life. But with patience and with a lot of love towards oneself, step by step, you might acquire slowly this peaceful inner state of mind. I think that the main problem with accepting life as it is with all its experiences, positive and especially the negative ones, comes from the difference of perspective that each human being has between its higher self, who is still in heavens, in the upper realms, and the ego, who is here on earth, incarnated in a physical body. Why? Because when we are at home, let's say, and we decide to come back to earth in a new body to live new life experiences, our life script is crafted especially for each of us, and we have already discussed this process in another episode in which we spoke about destiny and about free will. So, when a spirit approaches the moment of coming back to earth, it is taken into account in a very detailed way, its level of development on all the aspects that compose a human being. I mean, he or she decides to develop the gifts or specific talents that he wants to develop, to improve that, let's say, weaknesses that he or she has, or to strengthen even more its gifts and its natural, let's say, talents. Moreover, if a spirit has problems that remain unsolved, what is called karma, if he or she has relationships that were left with dialogues that were, let's say, incomplete, everything that was left unfinished or misunderstood is taken into account to be solved and to create that particularly life experiences that will help the soul to solve its relationships, to make important steps on a ladder of spiritual evolution. So, when we are at home, we might choose, for example, to pass through some important physical illnesses, or to lose someone very dear to us, because these two situations, for example, might help us to surpass important inner blockages that we have, might help us to solve conflicts in different relationships, and so on. But of course that when we are descending into vibration in these lower dimensions where the earth is placed, and when you are in a physical body, you perceive pain and sufferance in such a sharp and unpleasant way that it is so hard to really accept it when it comes. And it is hard for an incarnated ego to accept that once, when he or she was as a spiritual being in heavens at home, he or she chose sufferance, although it is true. And although everything that happens to us is for our higher self a good step and an important thing to experience, to learn, to acquire. So this is why these differences of perspective between realms makes difficult for us sometimes to accept what brings us sorrow. So I think that the most healthy attitude towards life is acceptance, is the idea to take everything that comes to you, to accept the experiences and the lessons that are proposed to you. But what I want to underline is that acceptance and abandonment in front of life does not mean at all passivity or denial or giving up. Because there are certain experiences which are given to our soul in order to feel them, and there are other experiences that are given especially for them to be surpassed and for the soul to find its way out of that certain experience. So we should be as open as possible to any life experience, and if we manage to remain at peace in ourselves, then we will also find the best solutions for this or that situation to approach and eventually to surpass. Because if we remain open-minded and relaxed, our mind would be at peace, our emotions would be in a balance, and we will manage to find the best solution and to understand especially why that lesson was sent to us. On the contrary, if we enter in a state of resistance, we tend to become extremely tense, and our mind tends to block, and our energetic field and all the subtle bodies tend to be tense too. And thus energy is not allowed anymore to be received from the universe, and all the things that we must throw away from our energetic body to be thrown away. And thus automatically we reach a state of imbalance on an energetic level, which, if the imbalance persists, might also become a physical pain and a physical dysfunction in a way or another. So ideally we should remain in this state of inner peace, in this state of acceptance without resistance, in order to keep our inner balance and to manage to find the best solutions for that situation and to deeply understand why that lesson was sent to us. I think that it's very easy to speak about acceptance and about this state of abandonment in front of life, but it's once again very hard, unfortunately, to really acquire this level of consciousness. But with patience, if we do not expect to be illuminated after the first book of spirituality we read or after the first course that we attend, if we do have patience with us and work in meditation and in prayer, and we read and we attend different courses, slowly, step by step, in years, we will acquire more and more frequently inner states of acceptance and even of bliss. So it is possible, but it is not easy. And there are a lot of interesting books written during the last years, and one of the books that I have found very interesting and with a lot of revolutionary ideas are the ones signed by Sal Rakele, who speaks a lot about this idea of acceptance and what happens in the opposite situation if we oppose resistance to life.